Hello and welcome to Media MD, a podcast where each week we prescribe each other a piece of media that we have somehow missed. I'm Reuben Morehouse.
And I'm Elliot and Reuben.
And it's my turn this week/fortnight, and I'm going to be bringing you a anime TV show called One Punch Man.
Okay.
Now, well, let's put this out first. Do you watch much anime?
Not a whole lot.
Me neither. I have watched a couple of the big hits, Death Note obviously is one that's pretty well known.
Yeah.
I watched Attack on Titan, that got big.
Full Metal Alchemist is the only other one I've really seen.
Yeah, I haven't seen that. I should see that sometime. That's interesting because One Punch Man's premise is that it's making fun of anime to a large extent. And I enjoyed it the first time I watched it, even though I'm not an anime person.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious to see. This is the recommendation that I'm not really sure how you're going to take, basically. Sure. Let me give you a little bit of the flavor of the world. Right?
I think I know a little bit just because this got quite big on the internet. I've seen
3 or 4 years ago maybe.
Yeah,
I've
seen lots of stuff about it. Basically the premise is the bald guy.
Yep.
Who's the main guy.
Yep.
He's super powerful, and so he's having an existential crisis because he can beat all the villains too easily.
Yeah, basically. So One Punch Man, the anime which we're talking about, not the manga, which is the source material. It's one season so far. It was released in 2015, and I think they're probably going to do more, but I guess they're waiting for the manga to get a bit further ahead.
Doing that Attack on Titan release schedule.
Exactly. Yeah. When you're adapting a manga that comes out, or a comic book or whatever, you have to wait for the source material. So that's basically the story. The main character, Saitama, is so strong that he can defeat anything with one punch. And that's basically the joke of the show, essentially. One Punch Man gets criticized a lot for basically just being one joke, which is they build up a villain a lot,
and then he just one punches them.
And I would say for that reason, I was rewatching it before this episode, before we recorded, and I've rewatched I think the first 4 episodes of 12 or however it is in this season. Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's a show that holds up well to rewatching, just because that is once you know what's going to happen, and obviously it's not like they play on it a lot. It's not just the same thing over and over again, but once you know what's going to happen, it loses a lot of its oomph. So I think this is a show that will hold up potentially one time and not any more than that. I didn't enjoy the first 2 episodes when I rewatched them at all, just because I knew exactly what was going to happen. But it builds up more characters throughout the show, and has these interactions with Saitama, the main character, which makes it more interesting and more of a character-driven comedy rather than just this one joke.
Yeah.
Okay. Let me give you a bit of background about the world. So I describe it as quite similar to Worm, but completely different. As similar as you can be to Worm while being the exact opposite. So it's in this world where there's superheroes and supervillains, obviously.
Sure. And
in this kind of pseudo-realistic setting, although not really. A lot of the characters in One Punch Man are a lot more ridiculous.
Okay.
So there's a regulatory body which manages the heroes called the Hero Association, and there's all this stuff. And they rank all the heroes, and they have... So there's a lot of the trappings of what you would see in something like Worm.
That's a big thing in anime. It was like Dragon Ball Z has power levels, and they like ranking things so that they can up the numbers and
arbitrarily
quantify how much they're scaling everything.
Yeah, I think that's the strength of One Punch Man. Is there's a lot of weird shit in anime that turns me off of it. The reason I couldn't finish Death Note or had trouble finishing the first season of Attack on Titan was it got so anime, and it's just there's so many trappings of anime which bog down these great stories and core concepts.
Yeah.
Attack on Titan is such a fucking cool concept. And when it's the concept, that's the first 4 episodes or whatever, it works so well, and then it gets super anime throughout the series, right?
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
And I think that's why One Punch Man is so strong, is because it's a weird core concept that isn't that strong on its own, but it's just making fun of anime, and to a lesser degree, superhero media in general, to a large extent, which is great. It's good times. It's fun.
Okay.
Yeah, so let me talk a bit more about Well, here's the thing. I don't want to spoil a lot of it for you because I think a lot of it's not really a plot-driven show.
Yeah, okay.
It's kind of a sitcom in a lot of ways where each episode will introduce like a challenge or a threat. And you know that the threat is probably going to be resolved with Saitama just punching it towards the end of the show. And so the more I talk about the other the other parts of Saitama's character and stuff, I think the more it will take away from each episode because obviously he can defeat anything with one punch. But
so it's those other parts that probably give it the substance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That mean it's not just the same joke over and over again.
Yeah.
So I don't want to talk too much about why Saitama is a funny character to watch for it as an example, because I think that will take away from the way it subverts itself by introducing these elements of his character. Yeah. So I'll give you one example. Which is from the end of episode 4, I think.
Okay.
No, see, I don't know if I should tell you this. This is my problem. I'm not sure how much I should tell you about this, because I feel like the more I tell you, the more it's just going to ruin this episode for you, if you know exactly what's going to happen. So I won't do that. I'll tell you about some of the other characters that he meets along the way that I think are quite enjoyable.
Is there the female character who's obsessively in love with him, but he doesn't really realise or reciprocate? Because that's definitely an anime trope.
No, there isn't. And the reason for that is Saitama is a huge loser, like, in universe. Like, he's easily the most powerful character, but he's bald and he doesn't look like a superhero, so everyone just assumes he's a piece of shit loser, essentially. And only a couple of people actually know that he's super strong, who are the people that he is the closest with, right?
Yeah.
Because everyone else just writes him off as a loser. So some of these other characters, basically all the characters are just superheroes that he meets up with and becomes friends with. Okay. The first one is a cyborg called Genos, who is his mentee. Or Genos kind of meets him and sees how strong he is and then begs to be his mentee. So Genos is this cyborg whose town was destroyed by an evil super cyborg monster who rampaged from a nearby town. And so Genos went and talked to the professor who built this cyborg and had himself turned into a cyborg so that he could hunt down this other cyborg.
That's genius.
Well, it's a lot of that stuff. That's basically... Yeah, so a lot of the... I'll spoil one joke for you, Elliot, from the show, which is Genos is introducing himself to Saitama, and he starts going on about his backstory, and he's talking about it for 30 seconds, and you start getting reaction shots of Saitama getting really bored, and it just keeps going, and then eventually Saitama flips out and basically says, look, 20 words or less, only 20 words or less. And this comes back in later when a villain is telling his backstory, and Genos is like, no, Master says 20 words or less on your backstory. It's just yeah. It's great. It's great. You can tell the tone of the show from the very beginning, when a villain called Vaccine Man comes and basically destroys a town, and is about to kill this little girl, and Saitama rescues the girl, and Vaccine Man starts telling his backstory, and Saitama just walks up to him and punches him, and then Saitama's like, ugh, took one punch again, and then that's the first scene in the show, and it really sells he's fucking bored and disillusioned to an extent. He's desperate. He wants to be a hero. His kind of catchphrase is, I'm just a guy who's a hero for fun. Mm. And he's so disillusioned with the fact that he's gotten so much stronger than everyone else that he can just beat everything with one punch. So it's a weird conceit that you would think doesn't hold up that well, but it manages to hold up well, at least for the first season.
Sure.
On the first watch. Yeah, so I actually do have the manga for One Punch Man, but we can do the anime just because I think it's better.
Okay.
I think the manga has a lot more jokes that are more subtle. There's background jokes in the art and stuff that don't really exist to the same extent in the anime, but
yeah, I
think the anime is just more kind of approachable, and I think it holds up better as an anime than as a manga. Interesting,
because usually people will always argue it's the other way around.
Yeah, I think honestly I think one of the big things that means that the anime to me holds up better than the manga is the manga's in black and white, and a lot of the ridiculousness of this show comes from character costumes and all this stuff that is that lands so much better with color.
Yeah,
as well as violence. The show's quite gory.
So that'll work better in animation rather than panel for panel.
Exactly. And I'm not saying the animation in One Punch Man is okay. It's pretty good. It's got a lot of those things where they'll just like kind of have a static image and pan the camera slowly down it, which is like anime budget cutting measures. But the animation in a lot of the fight scenes and stuff, and on a lot of the like villains and heroes, is really, really cool. It's just fun to, even though you know this villain's about to be defeated with a single punch, it's fun to like watch them hype themselves up and go into their like crazy rage mode and like bright technicolors, and like the environment is like crazy, like anime style where everything's like and like flashing and popping, and that's how just single punches it. It's like, it is a lot of a one trick show. Yeah. But just kind of watching it play out with characters that are entertaining to watch. Like Saitama's relationship with all the other heroes is very engaging. Okay. Yeah. I think it holds up at least for the first season. So that's what I'm bringing to you, One Punch Man.
Cool. And so you said it's only 12 episodes or something?
Yeah, I think it's 12 episodes of 20 minutes each.
Okay.
Yeah.
Seems doable.
Yeah, so it's not super hefty. They released the first season in 2015, and I'm assuming like it was moderately successful. Yeah. People seem to like it, so I'm assuming they'll do more at some point, but I don't know.
We'll see. Yeah,
we'll see. There's definitely no season 2 yet. It's been like 2.5 years. So I don't know, maybe. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, you can go off and check out One Punch Man and get back to me in 2 weeks, see how you did. I really don't know what you will think of it. It's a show that I think you will like it, but if you're not into anime or like superhero stuff, I think it's probably a show that our audience, if they're not into that stuff, probably wouldn't like. But it's worth watching the first episode and seeing like, do you get into it? Gels with you. Yeah, exactly. And if it doesn't gel with you, I wouldn't keep watching it from there.
If it's satirizing all these things, maybe if you don't like superhero movies and stuff, you will like it because it's making fun of them.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously we're, Elliot, both pretty into superhero media. Yeah. And so the satire there lands for me, but I'm also not that into anime, and so that kind of makes the satire there land because it's making fun of the exact shit that I hate about anime.
Exactly.
I think you'll enjoy it. And we'll get back in 2 weeks and we can see what you thought about it. So audience, if you want to check out One Punch Man, you can do so on our subreddit, and if you want to let us know what you thought of One Punch Man, you can do so on our subreddit, which is reddit.com/r/mediamd, and we'll put a discussion thread up for One Punch Man there. You can let us know what you thought, and maybe have your comments featured next week on the show, next fortnight on the show. Yeah, alright, we'll see you then.
Yeah.
Sign off.